Mark Doyle, thank you, our international development correspondent. It's 27 minutes past 3, and every Monday I have an obsession which I talk about. There are many topics that could be and indeed have been covered by the obsession in previous weeks. And this week I've decided to talk about television, and I've simply concluded that television has run out of ideas and needs your help. Here's some evidence to back up my theory. Got to Dance and So You Think You Can Dance, 2012 and The Thick of It, Candy Cabs and Carry On Cabby, Mock the Week and Stand Up for the Week, Upstairs, Downstairs and Downton Abbey, Coronation Street and EastEnders, both planning gay weddings, Fern and every other daytime chat show. Here is what some of our regular TV reviewers from this programme think themselves.
I think we've reached a sort of crisis point with the repetitive nature of TV at the moment. It does seem to be bereft of any new ideas. Recent drama releases include Silk, yet another legal drama about yet another middle-class white lawyer, and Monroe, yet another hospital drama about a brilliant surgeon, more doctors. Everything seems to be the same. Recently we had a massive row about the race row about Midsummer Murders, which neglected to address the real issue with Midsummer Murders, is why is it still on after 13 years? I mean, can't we break out and do something new?
I don't think TV's run out of ideas, but I do think there are a lot of shows on television that would remind viewers of other shows, and do seem very similar on the surface. You know, there are loads of talent shows, obviously, that all resemble each other. Half of them involving dancing, so you've got to Dance on Sky One, So You Think You Can Dance on BBC One, Strictly Come Dancing on BBC One. But if they're good, so Got to Dance, I think, on Sky One is a really good show, even though it's obviously derivative of other dance-based talent shows. But in general, I just think it doesn't bother me at all. I just think if a show is good and interesting in its own right, then the fact that it might be similar to or influenced by or inspired by another show isn't really that much of a bother.
If anyone asks me if TV's run out of ideas, I'd just point them in the direction of Channel 5. You know, a new bloke takes over, he's got a massive programming budget, so what does he do? He goes and buys Big Brother from Channel 4, which was on its legs already. I thought we buried that show. A lot of people celebrated when BBC One axed My Family, but the only reason they did that was because they had Life of Riley waiting in the wings, which is essentially the same show, just with more annoying characters. And then you look at things like Fern Britton doing a Paul O'Grady impression on Channel 4, ITV getting rid of GMTV, which was perfectly all right, replacing it with The One Show, and when that didn't work, they turned it back into GMTV. It's just, there's no ideas coming through.
The news of the world to Ian Highland there, as well as the Sunday Mirror's Kevin O'Sullivan and Heat Magazine's Boyd Hilton. Case proven, I think you'll agree. Television has run out of new ideas, and it needs some from you. Send your pictures now for the shows that you'd like to see, informative, educational, entertaining, or all three, and I'll put them to my miniature jury, which consists of John Lloyd, the creator of QI. John, good afternoon.
Hi, Richard.
Welcome back to the producer of Spitting Image, not the 9 o'clock news, Blackadder to name, but just a tiny handful of your canon of tiny part of your canon. And Richard Osman is here, creative director for the TV production company Endemol-UK. Richard, welcome.
Hello, Richard.
Endemol brought us Big Brother, Deal or No Deal, Ready, Steady, Cook, the £1 Million Drop. That's a recent one of yours, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Big Brother, of course, on its last legs, though, so...
Oh, it's headed over to Channel 5, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We must talk about that deal later. So they will help assess your ideas. Send them in now. Don't even send monkey tennis, because I won't read it out. 85058, bacon@bbc.co.uk. Quickly, we're going to take the news. Just a quick comment from each of you before we take the news and do this discussion more robustly. John, has television run out of ideas?
Yes.
That is a quick comment. Richard?
I would say yes, but only in the same way that music has run out of ideas and film has run out of ideas and books have run out of ideas.
What he said.
Just to be clear, the creative director of the UK's biggest production company is saying that television's run out of ideas. Is that not just another way of saying that you've run out of ideas?
Yeah, what did I say? No, absolutely. I think it has, you know what, there's a whole generation of new talent and new producers who want to make the same stories, but if you're looking for a really genuinely original new idea, I think that's very difficult. I think it's very difficult in any medium, yeah.
I had a drink the other night with someone who's very, very senior at one of the very big channels, and she said to me, she went, you know, the thing is, and she just sits through pictures all day, every day, and she said, there's no new ideas at the moment. Everything is derivative, is what she said.
Well, I think that there's a difference between the management of television or people who commission the programmes feeling there are no ideas. The creative community hasn't run out of ideas. There are lots of them, but I would argue there's a block between the creative people and the audience,
which is the commissioners.
Yeah.
And sometimes ideas will make it to air, but it's the commissioning process that often dilutes the idea, which makes it seem perhaps a bit more derivative than it ever was in the first place.
Well, I think if you pitch something that's genuinely unusual, if you're buying that show and spending a lot of money on it, you want to add a few things onto it that make it feel a bit more familiar, I think. Because, you know, you're putting it out there, you're spending a huge amount of money, you're putting it in front of a lot of people, it's your job on the line, so anything that makes it feel like something else that was a hit last week.
I see. So, Richard Osman, are you saying that commissioners kill television?
No, I love commissioners. Genuinely, I think
They must
they're an
have
enormously
ruined-
talented bunch of people.
They must have ruined one or two of your ideas.
Do you know what? I have ruined more ideas than they've ruined, to be fair.
QI, that was a new take on a panel show.
Yeah, well, it's pretending to be a panel show. It's really something else, isn't it?
Spitting Image was a new idea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a totally new idea.
As Richard says, in many ways, there are only 7 ideas in the universe, probably, and they're just different combinations of them. But the thing about newness is there's a different way of judging what programs people see now than there used to be 30 years ago, where it's the difference between the way a manager looks at broadcasting and the way a creative person looks at it. What creative people are trying to do is do something new and exciting all the time. What managers want is something that succeeds.
And they can be often two different things.
And so they have if you are a manager who's never actually made a program or written a script, you're going to the only way of judging things is how well something does in the ratings. So they're going to look at things that rate well already, like dancing, for example, and say, well, we ought to have some of those. But that isn't the way that writers think, for example. They think they're always looking for that new thing. But there's no way of somebody who's not another writer of judging whether that's any good or not.
Okay, well, look, send your ideas in now. There are no commissioners here to water down your idea. Send them in and we will assess them over the next half hour. Genuinely original ideas that you have had for television. And if any of them are any good, Richard Osman will take them straight to Endemol and you will never hear from him again. 85058 bacon@bbc.co.uk for your television ideas. It is 3:34. Here's the news. Justine Green. Thank you very much, Philip Studd. It's 3:39. You're listening to 5 Live. Thank you for joining us. I have decided that television has run out of ideas and it needs your help. Send in ideas now and we will assess them, we will judge them. Richard Osman is here, the creative director for TV production company Endemol-UK, which brought us Big Brother, and John Lloyd, the creator of QI. So very august, esteemed television industry people, and they will assess us. Do you think we're going to get good ideas, John, from the listening community today?
Well, it's always possible. I'm looking forward to being a commission myself now and telling everyone it's not quite what we want.
That's the phrase. That's the phrase.
Boots on the other foot. Yeah.
Richard, have you had a lot of ideas turned down?
Well, I would say yes, we have. It's an occupational hazard. So we pitch a lot. You probably get 4 out of 5 ideas turned down, I would think. If you're getting 1 out of 5 ideas commissioned, you're doing a very good job.
And those 4 that are turned down, you've probably done quite a lot of work in development on.
Yeah, exactly. You have to put as much work into the ones that get turned down, exactly. And some of them you think fair enough, and some of them you think you're wrong, but there's nothing you can do about it. So you.
And so you're like number 2 at 2, number 3 at Endemol, big deal, and you've done this. You sold Big Brother to Channel 5, to Richard Desmond, proprietor of the Daily Star, and he's now got your show. Are you proud of that?
Well, I think that we're very proud of Big Brother. It's a show that we absolutely love, and if you want to see an original television programme, when that first came out,
and you handed your baby to Richard Desmond. Are you excited by this development? Are you pleased?
To be fair, we've handed that baby to the same team that's always made it, who are a team of people who love that show and live that show, and the audience who loved it. It's the same audience. To us, it doesn't really matter who we make it for. It matters who makes it. It matters who your producers are and who your researchers are and who the behind-the-scenes people are, and that's all the same people.
Okay, so dear Richard, let's have a look at some ideas. My new TV show is Minor Celebrity Death Island, where a group of has-beens and wannabes are forced to live in squalid conditions on a tropical island. Each week they have to perform some task. The contestant who comes last becomes the food for the group. I also think you should present it. That's from Tony in Manchester.
Well, that's very similar to the direction we're taking Big Brother in on 5, so I'm afraid we've had that one.
I had 2 ideas rejected by TV companies 7 years ago, says Farouk in Bristol. Surely now in the age of nonsense programming, there must be a place for urban fox hunt, taking a bunch of toffs to a council estate to track down city-dwelling foxes. Second one was Root Down, gardening with a hip-hop twist to encourage youngsters to grow vegetables. John Lloyd, the creator of QI, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that early idea about the food, the loser becoming the food, I think I've got, and this is what happens is somebody will try and shape the idea for you. So I think master cannibal is the thing. What it should be is, you know,
good, yeah.
You have three people preparing another human being for edibility.
Perhaps people could cook Greg Wallace.
Yeah,
it's not the worst idea in the world.
No, it's not the worst idea in the world. Yeah, that would make yeah. So that's quite a sensible idea.
The urban fox hunt's definitely got something interesting about it, hasn't
well,
it?
It's, you know,
I've never seen a fox in the country. I live in the country. I've never seen a fox, but in the country. But I've seen one in London lots of times.
You see loads in London all the time.
Absolutely.
Urban fox. There might be something there, Richard. It might need expansion by your creative team over at Endemol UK. My idea to improve TV is to sack the current crop of commissioners and producers, said Richard, nodding there. You think all the commissioners should be sacked?
No, I was nodding about the producers.
No, yeah, he didn't nod. He likes commissioners.
The commissioners are very handsome, brave people.
This is Edward Wheatley. He says the reason TV is so dire is that commissioning is taken over and has been taken over by smart-arsed liberal university graduates who give the writing jobs to their smart-arsed lefty mates. Programmes like Porridge, The Likely Lads, It Ain't Half Hot, Heidi High and dozens of others would never have been commissioned nowadays as their writers don't have degrees. Instead we have The Office, etc., the creation of smug lefties who think themselves so superior. Did anyone find it funny rather than simply embarrassing? Well, yes, they did. Lots of people did. Lots of people found it both. And is TV been taken over by lefties, John Lloyd? Is that any truth to that?
I don't know. Is Ricky Gervais a well-known lefty? I'm not sure.
I'm sure he's a bit apolitical in a lot of ways, isn't he? I would have thought.
But I don't think it's anything to do with lefty as in the normally understood sense. I think that there's certainly a thing that, again, that technical qualifications for broadcasting have come in, which they never used to be. You don't need to be technically anything to be able to be funny, you know, and that has kind of been slightly sidelined in favour of people who've got, you know, media degrees or business qualifications. I remember somebody telling me a story about when Galton and Simpson first wrote their first script, and it all came in on...
These are the guys that wrote Hancock.
Yeah, and it came into the producer, Dennis Mayne Wilson. It was all written in pencil and sort of, you know, half illiterate, and he said, could you at least learn to type? And they found somebody down the road who could type it up, and it was that kind of stuff, and people were prepared to do it. It didn't have to be presented. Richard mentioned pitching, for example. We never pitched ideas in the 80s. You waited till you had a really good idea, and then you went and told the guy or the woman, usually a guy in those days, of course, what your idea was, and they either said it's great or I hate it, and that was it. There wasn't this, oh, so you don't like it? Yeah, we could make him a woman, or yeah, we could make them twins. Yes, a bus. You say you'd like a bus in it. Yes, we can have a bus. What colour would you like the bus? Yes, fine, it's a blue bus with 3 one-legged orangutans in it. Yes, fine.
That definitely happens, doesn't it, Richard? And apparently it's worse in America as well, where you go to a meeting and they'll be like, we love this idea, it's the best idea we've ever seen, and they string you along for ages and then don't commission it.
It happens sometimes, and it's a cliche, I think. There are some commissioners you go talk to who are incredibly bright, actually, and you pitch them something and they get it and they work with you and try and make it as good as you can. I think often it's when they don't like an idea.
Yeah.
Is when they start saying, oh, I don't know, perhaps you could do this. And I think sometimes it's just their polite way of saying they don't want to do it.
You need to learn to read between the lines in these meetings.
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes things do get ruined, though.
So we'll take some calls in the next 15 minutes. 0500 909 693. Text with your ideas if you don't want to speak on the radio, 85058. But I'd quite like to speak to you now. It's free from most landlines. It's a bit of money from a mobile phone. 0500 909 693. I am contending that television has run out of ideas and it needs you. It needs your ideas and it needs them now. And the point that we were making at the start of this discussion, and when we heard from those 3 TV critics who are regulars on this show, is that TV's become more and more derivative, John. And that is definitely true, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying because the people who have the money to spend on the programmes are looking for things that they recognise as already likely to be successful. It's not possible, you know, and Richard's bunch are much better off. They're much more in the swim of what television looks like. Endemol is part of the landscape of what television looks like today. They're very good at turning out, you know, absorbing game shows, and of course Big Brother is the biggest show in television.
Big Brother was Big Brother the last truly original idea, do you think, to be put on television?
QI. No, because QI is without question, it is an attempt to show that popular television, and QI is very popular, an awful lot of people see it, it is possible to make intelligent television that isn't about people, shagging under the duvet and being very banal. There is another kind of telly.
Although that is very entertaining television as well,
Sorry?
So that is very entertaining television as well.
Yeah, but it's a broad landscape. The thing is, I absolutely... Big Brother is an amazing, amazing programme. It's not a programme that I would watch very often personally, but it's a broad church. Telly used to be broadcasting, so you'd have... incredibly difficult... But
you still have that. You have that on BBC4, don't you? You have a bit of that with QI, and then you have the Big Brother at the other end on Channel 5.
Yeah, but you do, but it's not
Channel 5's Big Brother.
Yeah, but BBC4 gets tiny, weeny audiences, and they have no money. They don't pay, they don't expend... like in comedy, for example, the Americans spend 5 times what we do on comedy writers. We don't pay comedy writers.
And they're pilots. They spend £2.5 million on a pilot, or dollars perhaps on a pilot.
HBO just spent $10 million on a pilot.
Incredible, isn't it? Let's take some travel and come back and talk some more, and then hear more of your ideas as you, the listening community, step in and step up to rescue television, which has clearly run out of ideas. It's 12 minutes to 4. Hello there, Justine Green, the newsreader,
Richard
filling in on
Bacon.
travel. What's happening out there? Oh, Drive here in 10 minutes' time. You're listening to 5 Live. We're trying to analyse... we want you to come up with good ideas for television, because television has clearly run out of ideas. So your thoughts. Richard Osman is here from Endemol, the biggest production company in the UK that has just sold Big Brother to Channel 5. And John Lloyd is here from Would you ever sell QI to Channel 5 if that was taken off a normal broadcaster?
I'm a complete tart. I'd sell anything to anyone, but I have, unlike Richard, I've failed to sell an idea to television of any kind since QI in 2002.
Have you pitched quite a few?
Yes, absolutely. I used to do it at 2 or 3 a year, but it just gave up. There's no point.
So have you given up on television a bit? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's... I think telly's... If it's not careful, it isn't going to be here in 5 years. It's going to be something else. And there's a lot of stuff going on the internet now. There are people with really serious money. Google have just put $100 million into original programming for YouTube.
But that just becomes television, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the talent's going to go somewhere else, and and it will be a different way of making things. If you look the way that apps are done, for example. Apps are invented by very, very clever people. They're often incredibly original and interesting, and that takes its. They make them with their own money, and it hits the market without any interference. Apple don't say you're not allowed to do this.
But here's the thing: people said a few years ago, the internet's going to kill television, and the reality is that the internet has co-opted television. So there's loads of television on the internet. TV doesn't need the internet, but the internet needs TV.
But it's very interesting on iPlayer. The shows that are on iPlayer are different to the shows that are high in the ratings very often. But as I say, the QI just brought out an iPhone app. It got to number 5 in the world out of 1/3 of possibilities, and that is entirely the market. No, but I'm saying it's the market chooses. There's no editor sitting on top of it saying, I think what people want is this.
But the market, that's about passion, isn't it? Shows like My Family that recently decommissioned had 10 million viewers, but I'm not sure they ever brought them out on DVD, because there are certain shows that get big audiences, but the audience aren't that passionate about them, and there are some shows that get small audiences that the audience are entirely passionate about and would buy any book or app or whatever product was associated with the programme.
And those shows are why Big Brother was successful for years, but those shows are brilliant for apps. And Total Wipeout is another one we do, which again has a very passionate audience. So it's got sort of 2 million Facebook friends and things like that, which is fantastic. The internet is going to be wonderful for television content and getting people involved.
So I just want to say earlier, Richard, it's like, I think there should be different kinds of shows for different kinds of audiences, and there's an obsession now about trying to get young people. Young people don't watch television. Anyone who's got teenage kids, no, they don't watch telly. It's not their medium at all. It's a dinosaur thing. And they're trying to get for this tiny audience between 17 and 25 or something, and failing to do it. And so all the people of my age, in their sort of 50s and things, don't get any telly at all that
You've
they can bear.
got Lewis. You've got Midsummer Murders. What more do you need?
Yeah, absolutely. It's too. Yeah.
You've got acres of daytime quiz shows. On the theme of TV ideas, why do TV companies not embrace the idea of trying to get the nation fitter and have a sporting talent show? However, not for fit people, but for people whose BMI is over 25. Auditions can be held at sports centres up and down the country. Activities can be taken from the list of athletics, swimming, cycling and gymnastics. The fame-hungry, shameless population of Britain would lap up the chance to get their face on TV, even if it does mean having to shift a few pounds in the process. And the ultimate winner can have the chance to host their own fitness game show on BBC Three next year. How about that?
I'd say that is essentially Total Wipeout.
Yes, that's been done.
Oh, are you saying that all your contestants on Total Wipeout have a BMI over 25?
No, but more than on most television shows. I would say certainly more than at the Olympics.
This emailer claims he's called Seb Coe. Nicholas says, wrong direction. It's the commercial imperative that is killing television. There is no absence of excellent ideas, but no money, because everything has to be ad-based and therefore appeal to the lowest common denominator. How about a good news programme? All the great, good and positive things people around the world are doing. It's quite interesting, John.
I've heard that idea mooted before at The Guardian. I think they have an app on that, don't they? Is there a good news app?
And Russell Howard, I think his BBC Three show is Russell Howard's Good News, which I think is based on that thought. I think it's a good idea, though.
But what you're saying is this listener is ripping off someone else. That's
They're shamelessly ripping off Russell Howard. If I was Russell Howard, I'd be furious.
My idea for a TV series is called Danny Dyer Does. And then a different sort of show each week featuring Danny Dyer presenting about antiques, houses, cooking, etc. That's
Sold.
from Rich. So that is great.
Yeah,
I'd watch that. He did a show on UFOs, I think, didn't he? For BBC Three. See, everything's derivative. Yep. Even ironic Danny Dyer ideas
exactly.
sent in on text are still derivative. My idea would be a show about all aspects of driver training, from learner through to race training, in a not dissimilar way to MasterChef. You need to be pretty sure of the calibre of the judges, but handled well, it could do wonders for road safety and be highly entertaining. Mark floating on a boat on the Norfolk Broads.
Again, they did it on 5. They did So You Think You're a Good Driver. These things do come up every now and again, and people do make these. So if anyone is out there who does have brilliant ideas, genuinely, every year at Endemol we take on 4 people from outside television to come into our development team, and we're just recruiting now.
Do you really? That's interesting.
So even some of the, £1 Million Drop and The Cube, they're both come up with by our alumni. So if anyone does want to go on the Endemol website, we're actively looking for people.
Okay, Mark, there you go. Let's go to Ian in Mid Wales. Ian, good afternoon.
Hiya.
Ian, your idea for television, please.
Oh, right. All it is basically it's like an apprentice-style thing where obviously the kids these days, they can't find jobs very easily. So you take a bunch of kids on, say, a bricklaying course, get someone from it to judge them, take another bunch of kids on a truck driving course and someone from, like, Eddie Stobart can judge them. Even a radio presenter's course. You may be able to judge them, to be honest with you. And the winner comes out with a 12-month contract paid for by Endemol or whoever takes the idea on.
Endemol do not like forking out money. But
well, whoever, you could get one of the sponsors, say, Stobart, if they win this thing, they could take the driver on, as it were, or their Barrett could take on the lad, and they pay for 12-month apprenticeship for them.
Is that aspirational enough? See, the thing with the apprentice is you get this supposedly flashy job. I'm not sure it is flashy, but that's the idea you're presented with, working for this multimillionaire and earning a 6-figure salary. Would this be aspirational enough, Ian, to work?
It gives a job and a chance for young people nowadays that haven't got a job or any future prospects to get an apprenticeship, because there aren't that many apprenticeships out there now.
Richard, thoughts from Endemol UK?
Well, again, here's the problem, because it's a very good idea and it's very worthy and it'll be fun, but it's been done. Again, I think they did Bricking It, I think was for bricklayers. Jamie obviously did his restaurant one as well. So, these ideas are all out there. They sort of run for one series on 5 or 4 and then you don't hear about them. But they're all out in the ether.
Ian, it's kind of been done, I'm afraid.
All right.
Sorry.
It's all right. We appreciate you taking part, making the effort and phoning us. Thank you, Ian. Ian in Mid Wales. John Lloyd. We've not found a killer format so far today, I think.
Well, Hugh Laurie has this great line which he says there's no such thing as a good idea, only a good execution of an idea. And when Blackadder started, people said, well, it's been done. Jimmy Edwards in Sir Yellow. Do you remember that? No, you were much too young, but it was about a sort of fat knight in armour. So it's been done. Well, no, it hasn't been done, and Or, for example, we got through to nearly the third series of Blackadder before we realised, hang on, this is Fawlty Towers in tights. That's all it is. You know, Rowan is John Cleese.
Is that really how you see it?
No, we did. We didn't. We were unconscious of the similarities. But when you think about it, Basil and Edmund and Manuel and Baldric, it's this very similar relationship,
isn't it? And they both had farce, basically.
But you don't notice, you know, you don't, because the detail is completely different. And it's interesting about a lot of these ideas. A lot of them are good twists, but they're all the same thing. There has to be a winner, there has to be a prize, there has to be a hierarchy. You know, the great telly of the sort of 70s and 80s didn't have any of that stuff. The idea that there has to be a winner in a conversation, for example.
I suppose in terms of looking for genuinely new ideas, the only way is Essex, Richard. Yeah. It's a kind of new way of doing television, isn't it?
I think that's exactly it, but it's not seen as original because it's quite lowbrow. So
I
sort of people,
like that. I think that's really amazing.
It's sort of halfway between reality TV and drama without being either. To be fair, it's kind of ripped off from The Hills, which was the glamorous version in America.
Exactly, but at least that's an original idea. So there are original ideas.
But I love orange. You know, I've got an orange microphone here. All the people in Essex are orange, which is so lovely.
It's a lovely, lovely colour. And I live in New York, and there's a bloke here called George Cockcroft who wrote a book years ago called The Diceman under the pseudonym Luke Reinhardt. It's about a guy who gets so bored of his life that he decides that everything that he does will be decided upon the roll of a dice. It's it. Could that not be turned into a TV show?
That's a brilliant idea.
That's the idea I've had pitched to me most in my life as in TV. Yeah. I must have heard it 50 times, but it would be quite
so. Why is it not on television?
Because people try and make it. They try and make it. There's little things wrong with it. Doesn't quite work. Doesn't quite work. You have to. Can't go into why, but it doesn't.
Okay.
But it's a great idea.
Richard, thank you for coming in today. Richard Osman from Endemol-UK. John Lloyd. Thank you. Thank you to both of you. Come back anytime.
Thank you, Richard.
We have Michael Grade on tomorrow. Michael Grade talking television.
The pornographer in chief.
And Rod Gilbert. I'll explain that joke tomorrow if you're not familiar with it.